Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner and Conquer the Gauntlet Pro, Evan Preparis. I've got a guest with me on the line. Before we get to him, though, we'll do a quick word from our sponsors. So this episode is brought to you by Elite Ops Energy Strips. Elite Ops Energy Strips are little sublingual strips, kind of like a Listerine strip you put on your tongue, except they've got 100 milligrams of caffeine in them. So it gives you a nice pre-workout boost or pre-race boost. Or if you're like me, who likes to travel to international races, like what we're going to talk about during this episode, it's great for helping you kind of adjust to the time zone as your body gets used to the different time zone on the other side of the world and you're trying to get ready to race. A little caffeine boost that's easy to carry, easy to pack in your bag. You can use it on your carry-on. It actually comes with like a little pouch on the back of your phone you can attach and then carry it with you at all times. All right, joining me on today's before I get to him though, if you want to save money with Elite Ops Energy Strips, you can use CTG10 and save 10% off every order. Joining me on today's podcast, I have a good friend of Strength and Speed and one of my personal good friends and a race owner. I have Amine Dib from Hannibal Race. So Amine, say hi.
Hi, Evan. How are you?
I'm great. And we've had Amine on the podcast once before, about 2 years ago when he flew Brenna and I over to Lebanon for the Hannibal Race. But if you don't know who he is, besides being the co-owner of the Hannibal Race, he's also essentially a Taekwondo champion. And then on top of that, he's essentially a fitness celebrity in the Middle East. So a lot of people know who he is. He's on TV multiple times a week, hosting a fitness segment on a show, which we'll talk a little bit about later. And he's also an incredible athlete. Did a super long 683-kilometer bike ride this past year to raise some money for charity. And we'll get into all that later in the episode. So Amine, again, welcome. And it is always good to hear your voice.
Thank you, Evan. And I would like to send a huge respect to you and to everybody listening to us. Being as a person that lived in the States for a long time, I send my respect to everybody listening to me, especially I don't know if someone from LA is listening now, but respect to all.
Much appreciated. So let's jump into it right away. Earlier this year, Brenna and I, 2 years ago, we went to Lebanon. Earlier this year, we went to Kuwait. You've put on races in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So lots of different countries, which I can't even imagine the technical difficulties and the complicatedness of dealing with other cultures and, trying to transport obstacles across large pieces of land and through air and sea and all that stuff. And then this past year, you're going to do a race in India, and I was scheduled to go and meet you over there. And basically 4 days before the race, about 12 hours before I was going to get on a plane, we had to cancel the race. So the audience has heard it from me very briefly on why the race was canceled, but I feel like we should get the word directly from your mouth, right, as the race owner. So, kind of what happened with India and take us through some of the challenges there.
Yes, correct. Thank you for this. Technically, you've seen us how we operate. It's not a complicated operations. We have a nice flow in our work. Our policy was to expand. Our strategy was to expand 2 years ago. And then in the last 2 years, we had the opportunity to do races, like you said, in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. And everything was really amazing. The beautiful thing in OCR that we are going to different cultures. We are meeting people. We are meeting communities. We are building something that I love to do. Plus, it's like I can say easily that what I'm doing now when it comes to OCR is totally my hobby. So that's why I put everything in it and I put my passion in it. So after the race of Kuwait, we had a request from India to go to Goa, India, and to do a race there. And as you know, we are open for all territories. After a market survey, we knew that there was no OCR in India for a reason that I would like to come back to it later. But, we said, let's take the challenge. Let's go there. People are nice. India is amazing. The culture about India. India is a universal destination. And we took the challenge and we went under like everything under a contract where we had 6 months of preparations. Also, where in the last 3 months, I flew to Goa, India for 9 times. Everything was smooth. Everything was under contract. We shipped our items to India, to Goa, India, exactly. And the shipment arrived like 12 days before. The problem is with the formalities, there were like some really huge obstacles that were put in front of us. I don't know why we did some races, like you said, in Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's one of the most difficult places because like law is like very demanding in Saudi Arabia, and our races were superb in Saudi Arabia. We had 2 races. For some reason in India, everything at the customs was so complicated, Evan, in a way that like our job was to take our obstacles there, and Ignite Sports, the company that should clear the the obstacles from the customs and do this job, had a problem. For us was like really weird because answers were not convincing. The thing is, when the obstacles were there, when the containers and the shipment were there, we were asked for more papers and more papers, and we had some really rough time to bring papers back because these papers should have done before. So we were providing the papers and everything, and unfortunately, I was with my team in India like 10 days before the race, eager, ready to do race, and we find out like 4 days before that they took a decision. Ignite Sports took a decision to cancel the race. Now, as an official of Hannibal race, my immediate question was like, hey, look, guys, do not panic. I'm panicking. You are panicking, but we should do the right thing. And the right thing is to put a crisis plan. That we had a plan B. And we said, hey, look, let's postpone the race for 1 week or 2 weeks. And the answer was no. And here it was like a huge question mark for us. And we go like, why you're going to cancel our race? And still we were so eager to do it in India. People were nice. The sceneries were amazing. The location were amazing. And I don't want to go to details because now we're subject in court stuff because of this issue. That's why I'm gonna like not talk in details. But all what I want to say, like after the customs and asking us to bring more papers and more papers, we're providing with our blood and flesh, providing papers. It's a lot of bureaucracy, and then more obstacles started to come, which was raising another question mark in my head. And I sat down and I said, oh my God, no wonder why there's no big names in India, like when it comes to OCR. That's why there's no OCR, or maybe there is no big, like there's a lot of local races, like events, like running races and events and fitness events. But if you see as an international company coming to India is like really rare, especially in Goa. So I started to realize that it's like so complicated, especially when it comes to customs. The problem is the big no that we had to deal with when it comes of postponing race. I remember one time I flew to LA in order to do Tough Mudder in Los Angeles, and when I landed in LA, I noticed that they have sent me an email because of the weather, like the race was postponed. And they said exactly, do you want this refund? Or like they were communicating with us. Our problem was the officials of Ignite Sports disappeared the next day. And we're calling everyone, that no one was there. And it was a huge hassle that led to this unfortunate circumstances. Definitely, Hannibal Race was not operating as the Hannibal Race headquarters. We had given a royalty to Ignite Sports. So it was their job to do everything in India because, hey, how come can go to India? We did a market survey, we did everything, but we don't have an office in India. So maybe this was a risk that we were taking. And the race was canceled. Not even given, it was not given us the benefit of the doubt, or even the opportunity to say, hey, let's postpone 1 week or 2 weeks. Now we'll figure out why there is this bureaucracy. And it's very weird. The answer of Ignite Sports was, in the last like 3 days before we canceled the race, that the official in the customs that need to sign the race has a conference. So he's not in the office. He will not sign, which raised like really huge questions, you know. But this is what led to cancel the race. Again, we loved India. We loved India. We loved the people of India. We loved India. Goa was amazing. I was going there for the last 3 months before the race, and everything was blessed. They have 5 stars hotel. Accommodation is amazing. Everything is amazing there. Unfortunately, with this bad experience, you know, Ignat Sports was like, this was their first event, and you know me, Evan. For me, like having a company that had the 100 races or a new company that's starting to building itself, it's not a big matter for me. I like to give chances and work together with people. I'm a team person, and maybe also this was a risk, and we took it in our chest. Now we're looking forward to our more races, and everything is being sorted out. It will be sorted out in the court of law. So basically that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely crazy and heartbreaking. You know, I was very upset that my plans were canceled last minute, mostly because I didn't get to see you. But I was more upset for like you as a person, because I'm friends with you, you know, and having you. I know how much stress you were dealing with, because we were texting back and forth over those couple of days. I just felt so bad, and you know, I said it before on the podcast, but you know, the fact that you can put on races in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and all over the Middle East, right? And then you couldn't pull one off in India. I was like, you know, from an outsider's perspective, I think it's impossible. I think it's basically impossible, because, you know, like you were saying, the laws and the rules in Saudi Arabia are, you know, a lot stricter than a lot of the other countries.
Totally. You're totally. We had some like really weird stuff. Like I told you, I'm not gonna go to details, but one of the funny details that they canceled the race at night, and we immediately sent like a notice saying that you cannot. We don't approve that you cancel the race. We still do believe that we can go with the plan B, plan C even. We can do many things. We can postpone the event. We can do whatever with the obstacles, but we can think together. The problem is that we were absent. We called their officials in India. They did not answer our calls, while one of their officials was liking my posts on Instagram, but not taking my calls. So that was like the weirdest thing, Evan, you know, like calling someone that you have a contract with him to do a race, and then he was not answering you, but liking your posts on Instagram and Facebook. Isn't that weird? That was like really the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And in the business, like business perspective, if you want. So I'm telling you now, it's behind our back. If you want to talk about, like you said in your introduction, about our future plan, our next race now in Kuwait in the first week of February, that we will be announcing, we will be making a huge announcement next week maximum. From this podcast, I would like to say that Evan Perperis is our number one guy. Evan Perperis will be in Kuwait as usual, the friend of the Hannibal race, the true friend of the Hannibal race. And I always say, like, Evan Perperis, you started as a friend, and you became a family of the Hannibal race, which I'm proud to have you. One thing I'm gonna say, through your podcast, we are inviting you, and this is an idea. I'm saying this, and you're gonna tell me about it. We're gonna do like a competition that you decide on your podcast, and the winner will take. We will like grant him also a flight to Kuwait, a ticket and accommodation, and also to do and it's not it's gonna be like one of your maybe listeners to the podcast. You can go ahead, prepare something. I'm announcing this officially, and we will be hosting someone from your podcast listeners to go to Kuwait.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, as a gift, not from the Hannibal race, but from Strength and Speed and Evan Perperis and your podcast.
Holy jeez! All right. Yeah, we'll think about some details for how to make that happen. But yeah, that is huge, and that is insane.
Come on, I know you're full of creativity. Hannibal race would take charge of all the charges, and it's going to be given from Strength and Speed because again, I'm always happy to be in your podcast and like chit chat with you about OCR, about everything happening in the Middle East. It's a blessing, like to be able to raise our voice and our community to show people what we're doing in here in this part of the world.
I mean, you're too nice to me. I feel like I do a lot of good work, but you treat me too well. And
no, man. I listen. I'm gonna be very, very clear. I treat Hannibal Race in a very good way, and our motto in life, especially in business, as Hannibal Race family, is to be good all the time. And you've noticed this. So we don't do this because we go an extra mile. We do this because this is what we believe. These are our beliefs.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, I mean, that family statement you said earlier was 100% true. You know, my wife and daughter absolutely loved the experience earlier this year.
Yeah, they're part of the family. You know that.
Yeah.
We're all one big family that loves OCR, that has passion for sports and for like we're resilient. We are too very resilient, like you. So whatever happened now in India, we took it on our chest, with our like really, really chest, and we're gonna move forward with a lot of amazing races and events.
All right, this sounds absolutely fantastic, both for me and for the listeners. So I would stay tuned on the podcast. We'll figure out in a later podcast how we're actually going to pick who gets to go. But, keep listening and tell your friends if they want a chance to win, they're going to have to listen, because we're going to put out the details via podcast on how to win that insane prize. So I'm like stuttering for words here because I'm a little bit speechless at your generosity.
No, don't worry about it. No, it's not. It's like treating OCR in the right way, man.
So also, let's also talking about the future of Hannibal Race. What else you got planned for 2020? Are you going to do more races in Lebanon, or are you going to try to expand to some other locations, or is it just going to be Kuwait only?
Okay. If I tell you now, it's under like we still have like 1%. We're 99% ongoing. We have requests from Romania. We have requests from Cyprus. Lebanon is we're gonna also announce Lebanon in 1 month's time maximum. It's gonna be in a beautiful area in Lebanon called Fakra, in the mountains. So Lebanon is happening. Kuwait is happening. We are on our way to go for Saudi Arabia, Romania, Bucharest, and also Cyprus.
That is awesome.
So you're gonna.
I love that your race goes to locations that are not, like, as an average American, they're not commonly on people's like travel list. And I think that's really cool because it really lets you see a different part of the world and give you a reason to go to a different country and experience a different culture, which,
and this is,
the Kuwait and the Lebanon trips were, I mean, Brent has talked about it before, and myself also, but it just gives you a chance to experience something that, you otherwise wouldn't go. Most people would not go to those countries to visit. And which is a shame because they are beautiful, right? Like, I mean, Lebanon is such a weird mix of like, East and West and like all these different cultures and, Islam and Christianity. It's just like, it's the most unique place I've been to. And I've traveled through a lot of countries in the Middle East. So.
Yeah. True. Correct.
Well,
and also I send my regards to Brenna, and Brenna is always like on board, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's busy traveling. She's got a Savage race coming up this weekend, so I think she's on the road right now.
I'm always following both your news, and I love it.
Yeah. So speaking of Lebanon and speaking of news, earlier this year you did a massive several-day bike ride. So it was like 683 kilometers across Lebanon, or around Lebanon, I guess. So tell me about that.
Yeah. As you know, Hannibal Race is owned by a company called Threshold. So this company, we have an office in Beirut, we have an office in Kuwait. So we operate in from 2 countries, but we cover a lot of places, like as I told you. So 5 years ago, when I founded Threshold, I was back then working. I just finished my work in a big hotel, 5 stars in Lebanon. I used to be a spa and recreation director. And I said, you know what? I want to do something while I'm still like really physical. So I said, and I looked and I said, what is the hardest thing for me? I said, you know what? Lebanon is a lot of mountains, and What I don't do a lot is biking, like a bicycle. I'm not familiar with bicycles, and it's very hard for me to go in the mountains with a bicycle. I find it very hard. I said, you know what? I'm going to take this very hard thing to do. I'm going to transform it on the road. And we created this project that called On the Road. It was like, we did 5 editions, but the first edition was in 2009. Sometimes we stopped this edition in some years because there was like no good, like, in politics in Lebanon and stuff, like things were not very safe to do it. So, and we said, you know what, let's go from border to border. So I took a bike, I bought a bike. It was like a really, really, really cheap bike, to a point where when I completed my 225 kilometers, parts from the bike started to fall over. I bought like this used bike, and I said for like $100, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna travel from the borders in the south to the borders in the north. We spoke to sponsors, and we spoke to a lot of people that would like to donate, for the message was, or the cause was, kids with cancer. This was my cause from the beginning. And after the race, we sat down, we did like everything that we had to do after the race, and we discovered that we raised $7,000. And I go, wait a minute, that was like really cool. So I said, you know what, let's go with On the Road 2. So the next year, I said, I did 225 kilometers. Let me upgrade my kilometers. Back then, it was not the war in Syria yet. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to Turkey. And the thing is, it was never a pro project. That's what I want to say. When I speak to it with my friends, I laugh a lot, because I go to my friend and I call one of my best friends, and I go, I want to go to Turkey on a bike. It's like 500 something kilometers. Can you drive your car behind me? And he goes, okay. He doesn't have an expertise in how covering my back. I'm not a biker. Like the full year passes, I prepare myself like 1 week before, and here you go. Next year, we exactly went from Phoenicia Hotel in Beirut to Antakya. So that's like 500 something kilometers. I biked through Syria. It was in 3 days and a half, arriving to Turkey. It was like one of the best experiences I had. And plus then when we sit down, we discovered that we raised $37,000. And I go, are you kidding me? This is a huge opportunity for me to help those kids. And so on. With this edition this year, we did 6 editions. Until now, we raised $120,000 that went to a lot of organizations in Lebanon. A lot of kids were affected by this project. This year was an amazing project. I biked literally all the Lebanese borders, like around. That was, I was aiming to do 700 kilometers, but because there was some places that we couldn't go, I ended up by finishing with 683 kilometers, raising a huge and decent amount of money that was donated to one of the organizations also. The good thing with raising money here, that I was always helped by MTV Lebanon, the Lebanese television, where I have a project linked to these organizations that do the one of the organizations that are a medical organization, Kids First, that the owner is a doctor. I love this guy. He does a lot for the kids that has cancer. Many videos were filmed, many interviews were done in order to have a decent coverage that will lead to a lot of sponsors that will donate money. So it was a blessing. This year was very unique. I had the time to prepare myself, but for the 6th time, I realized, first, I'm 43, and second, if I want to do this again, I need to prepare way more in order to avoid like any injury or any problem. I'm not injured. Everything is okay. But like I felt it this time that I need to be more prepared mentally and physically in order to. The good thing is I had one of the best physical therapists with me on the road. I had a very professional team with me. Like recovery was amazing every night, and post-race, post-event also, the recovery was amazing within the specialist doctors. So I was doing amazing.
That is phenomenal. Both the amount of money you raise, and then on top of that, just the physical exertion and endurance to do those things. And like you said, like what people don't think understand are, one, you're not an endurance athlete background, right? Like you used to do Taekwondo was your big thing. And like, you know, you're not like a super lean ultra runner or super lean ultra cyclist. You know, you've got some muscle on you. You know, you're obviously a very fit guy. You host a TV show about it, but like, you know, it's very impressive. And, you know, it's like 425 miles for those people who aren't very good with kilometer to miles math. And then the other thing, you know, if you haven't been to Lebanon, people don't understand, like the road, like by the coast, it's flat, but you go like, I mean, you don't even go a mile inland, and it just goes uphill, right? It's like a mountain course for like a Spartan race.
It doesn't finish.
Yeah, like you go east, it is uphill as far as east, basically until like the border. It just keeps going uphill.
Exactly.
And you know, the phrase I used to always hear about Lebanon is it's the only place in the world you can go skiing in the morning and go to the beach in the afternoon, because you can go skiing up in the mountains and you drive down the mountain and go to the beach. And, you know, it's one day, and it's not a crazy long drive. It's like, you know, maybe an hour or two, and then you're, you know.
Yeah. One of the funny things that you said, my background is not endurance. And the problem is, you know, I'm a pro athlete. I used to be in the Lebanese national team of Taekwondo. I did I have like more than 37 medals in as first, second, or third. Like I was in the podium many times. The thing is, I still take this bike thing in a very funny way. And sometimes I sleep and I wake up in the middle of the night and I say, you know what? In this May, I'm going to do it again. The thing is, the funny thing, one time I was hosted in a like kind of an event where one of the very, very famous like ultra athletes in Lebanon that did Himalaya and did, you know, like he's a well-known athlete. And I was like very, very happy and excited to tell him. And it's very funny because I was in an event, and the next day in the morning, 5 o'clock, I had to go. So, but I had to attend this event because it was a charity event. And he goes like, I go like very excited. Hey, you know, like tomorrow I will go like for 700 attempt kilometers. And he goes, what is your bike? What do you have as bike? And in my, in like inside my head, I said, oh my God, I don't know what's the bike name even. Like now I upgrade, I buy good bikes, like around like maybe $1,000, but it's not like a bike that can be used by like a pro athlete going for 700 kilometers, you know. And I tell him like a name, and he looks at me and he goes in front of people. He goes like, "You're crazy. You're not gonna arrive." and Evan, knowing me, I was like, inside my head, I said, "What? This guy never knew that I don't pedal with my legs. I pedal with my heart, man." So back then, when he told me, "Oh, you're crazy. You're not gonna arrive," I arrived. I visioned myself. I had a vision how I'm arriving. And I hope one day I'm going to send you videos how people were expecting me to arrive in Beirut, and it happened, and it was really good. It was really amazing.
Yeah, that shows the power of willpower and your tenacity there. And like, I mean, like $1,000 bike is like very low, like that's like bottom of the line. You know, the ones the pros are riding are like $10,000 base model, and that's without the upgraded wheels, you know, which are $2,000 each, and without the special aero helmet and the bodysuit and the, you know, like.
Exactly. No. Safety wise, I respect all safety things. Like I put the helmet and everything, but this time I'm going to do one more edition for on the road, where I'm going to prepare really good. I'm going to have the right equipment, and I'm going to have like everything in the right way in order to achieve like really an edition that will be the finale, and that's going to be like really beneficial for the kids.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The reason why I don't sponsor myself with or I don't buy a lot of expensive bikes or equipments, for one reason, because I want the money to go for the kids. It doesn't matter. Like if I go with a bike with $4,000, $5,000, I prefer to have this money in cash to give it to the organization not to put it on a bike. So I'm a risk taker, as I told you in the beginning of this on this episode. But yeah, I should be working more on the preparations.
Gotcha. And now you mentioned it a little bit earlier, talking about MTV. Now, for most
Yes.
Americans, that's music television, but that is not what we're talking about for the Middle East. There's a channel called MTV, and you have
Yes, correct.
a segment of a TV show on there. So, most of us don't get those channels here. So can you tell us a little bit about the show and what you do on a weekly basis on
Okay.
there?
Yes. The show is it's called MTV Lebanon. MTV is the number one television in the Arab world. It's a very famous television. Wherever you go in the Arab world and you say MTV Lebanon, it's very famous. I started like 10 years ago to do the show. It was called Workout before. I did it straight for 8 years, and then I stopped for 1 year in order to focus on Hannibal race. And then 1.5 years ago, I went back to my show that it's called now Get Fit. Get Fit is an episode where I inspire people and I push them to give their best. I motivate people to go from the couch, from a status quo that they have, that they don't work out. And the thing is, I realized one thing. That's why my show is so popular here, thanks God. The reason why my job was not to deceive people. My job was to give them options and alternatives so they can go and train. I said in my head, if I go and complicate my sessions and make it very hard, people will say, you know what? Already it's very complicated for me. I'm not gonna do it. People trust me. So I invented a technique that is very simple. Is like on television, I give the exercise and we work a lot on a progression and on a regression, where people will have 3 options. People will decide, will say, oh, this is the exercise. I can do it this way or that way. The thing is, I was simplifying the lexic, the words, and the exercises. I was not putting complications, and people loved that because, people sometimes they don't work out because they find it's very hard. And I always say, you know what? When you push yourself and you start your workout, this is 50% of your workout. So that's why I was simplifying everything. Even I was simplifying the way I was talking to them. Okay, let me tell you how. It's good to educate people. But if you go to someone in Lebanon, especially, and you say to the general public, I'm saying, I'm not generalizing this, but for the general public that doesn't do sports. Because I'm not on television for the people that do sports already and they're like really athletes. I'm on television to push the community. My job and my aim is to let more people do sports in my country and in the Arab world. So let me give you an example. Instead of saying latissimus dorsi muscles, I go with back muscles. And then when I want to show a picture, I go and I identify each muscle by itself. You know what I mean? Like, are you getting my point? So I was like really simplifying things in order to give a message and to motivate and inspire people to do sports. It's different than the States. It's different. Like here, it's not like the States when it comes like there is a huge raise in awareness, a huge raise. Now you go to Lebanon, you see some gyms like are really out of this world. Community is being very huge. Running communities, biking communities, martial arts communities, everything, basketball, everything. So the problem is that in the gym, there is a lot of people that are hesitant to go to gyms and to do fitness and to discover what they can do when it comes to their mind and body connection.
Yeah, no, those are really good points. You forget the longer you've been in fitness, we've been doing fitness for, several decades at this point. You forget what it was like when you first enter that arena where you're nervous and you're worried people are looking at you and judging you, and when I go to the gym, I honestly don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing. I got my own stuff going on, and it can be, as someone new, it can be very nervous, and you don't know what machines you're supposed to use or what the exercises you're supposed to do or the sequencing or all that stuff. So that's great. I mean, really getting people up off the couch and, moving and creating that fitness lifestyle that hopefully can lead to healthier life and bigger things down the road. I love it.
True. And being living in the States for a long time, like, and coming back here and going back and forth and seeing like how can I benefit from the amazing like growth in fitness in the States, and try to work as an American in Lebanon, like implementing like some really good standards, some good techniques, some good methods, connecting with people here through like advanced idea and perceptions when it comes to fitness and sports and education in this.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, looks like you're doing so much good stuff. I mean, between the obstacle course racing and, the TV show, helping out people who are new to fitness, and then your charity stuff. So I just love that approach
Yeah.
and really getting out there and making a difference in the community and in the wide world.
We speak a lot of OCR, by the way, in my show, and plus I have two segments, not only the Get Fit and something called technology, as you know, and I speak about a lot of technology news in the world, and I focus a lot on what's happening as technology in the fitness business, in the OCR business, in the sports business, everywhere related to sports.
Gotcha. Do you feel that the TV show has pulled more people into the Hannibal race?
Definitely, with no doubt.
Nice.
It's like an identity. We built our brand through like live retransmission since day one. All our races were covered live on TV since our first race.
Yeah, I remember, coming back from Lebanon. When we went to Lebanon, we raced and we get back to the hotel, and the guy behind the desk is like, "Hey, I saw you guys on TV. You did really well." And it was like, "Well, that's really cool." Like you just, you can go to a small town OCR in America, and you come back to the hotel, and the people behind the desk are like, well, "Why are you so dirty?" Like they don't even know there's a race going on, and it's like literally 10 minutes down the road, and you're like, so. Yeah, that was super cool. I mean, that's the type of coverage the New York City Marathon and Boston Marathon get in America. So huge.
By the way, I remember the first time I met you, like in Lebanon in the first race. It was so cold, and I was like so excited, like meeting an American in my race. That was like an achievement, like hey, tell me let me know what about what is your opinion and stuff. And like you're looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? It's like that was your the look on your face was priceless. Like, why is the guy so excited?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I knew you were the race owner. You're just like some random guy. Like, I had a bunch of patches on my backpack, so you came up and started talking to me, and I was like, oh, who's this guy? And then it's like, oh, I own the race. It's like, oh, that's good. That's cool. So,
yeah, that was funny. The first time we met, that was funny.
Yeah, that was December 2015. It was a month after
Correct.
World's
Exactly.
Toughest. I was still a mess. So, yeah.
Yeah. It was December 17th. I remember very well.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, what else? You got anything else to share with us, Amine, before we let you go?
Nothing. Thank you for the subjects. You were talking about subjects that are really dear to my heart. First the India thing, and I still like, I'm still telling you, like, it's unfortunate because I loved India. I love the people of India. I love the country. I love the food. I love everything in there. The colors, the vibe, everything. It just was like the wrong decision going with maybe with some of the people there. Like it was unfortunate, but I'm telling you, it's behind our back. We're gonna go like we have a lot of firepower when it comes to OCR. We're doing a lot of good things to our obstacles. We're creating new obstacles, new ideas. You're gonna be amazed when you're gonna come to Kuwait. You're gonna see a lot of new stuff. And basically, when it comes to on the road and MTV, these are things like I consider I put a lot of passion in it. And I thank you so much. I thank all the listeners to this episode.
Awesome, and definitely say hi to say hi to your whole crew for me. They just treat us, me and Brenna, so well when we visit there, and Hiba and Safadlos, and
of course
everyone.
Of course. They all says I told everybody that I'm gonna be on your podcast. Everybody was excited. I send my regards to your family. I send my regards to my second country, USA, LA, all the way. So can't wait to go there, and maybe we can meet again and we can sit down and talk more.
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, All right, Amine, thanks again for coming on. And for our listeners, keep listening and we will figure out how we're going to do this enormous giveaway, which I'm going to say is the biggest giveaway in OCR podcast history. I mean, a trip to Kuwait for a race. That's pretty huge. I mean, that's preposterously huge, right? So
come on, let's do it.
We'll figure out how we're going to do that giveaway. So keep listening. Make sure you head over and like Hannibal Race. They have a couple different Facebook pages. So there's the Hannibal Race Lebanon page and there's the Hannibal Race Kuwait page. So make sure you like both of those. And same thing on their Instagram channels, Hannibal Race Lebanon or Hannibal Warrior and Hannibal Race Kuwait. So like both of those in the meantime so you can keep following for updates. And we will figure out how we're going to do this contest and we will go from there. Amine, again, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Evan.
Love you like a brother. My family loves you. My daughter, when we were in Kuwait, you gave my daughter this sequined cat as like a stuffed animal, and she asked to bring it to show and tell, which is really funny. And then we also had to we found a similar one, but a smaller one, like a baby. So my daughter had to have the baby to go with the mama. So we have that, and you gave her a nice pink backpack, and it's the one my daughter carries to school every day.
Anastasia is like the best part of the family of Hannibal Race. We love Anastasia. We're in love with Anastasia. So I send my regards to your family. God bless you. God bless your family, and God bless all the listeners. And that's it, mainly.
Yeah,
you're amazing.
Hopefully, we can get you to meet my new son at some point in the next year or two. So. We'd love to meet you.
You're new, sorry. Yeah. Of course. You will. We will, with no doubt.
Yeah. All right.
He will be the pride of Hannibal Race.
Amazing. All right, we're gonna let you go, Amine. Always great to catch up with you. Again, thanks again. Keep in touch, both on the business side and then on the personal side. And we'll see you later this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.